What is going on? Welcome back to Kaijutopia on this fine Friday day. I'm Tom, and we're going to keep going with our VFX work on Godzilla Rises. Or, as you're about to see, it's more like Godzilla sinks, swims away. Yeah. I have to say I'm really happy that this project is nearing completion, because it's been going pretty well. You know, I feel like for every project that I work on, you know, it's meaningful if you had to try something you've never done before. You know, it's always good to take on projects where you have to learn and just, you know, in my case, become a better VFX artist. So I feel like this has been one of those projects where it's, you know, there was a lot of new ground to cover, to break, so to speak, and I'm really happy with how everything's been turning out. There's a lot more to do after this. If there's time in today's stream, if I am pretty satisfied with Godzilla here, I'm going to go back to the heroes, and because, well, they get to respond to the fact that they had a very, perhaps not only a, what's synonymous with a near-death experience? Well, a near-Godzilla experience, we can say. Well, let's get to it. Oh, Jigzilla, Geigen Rex, welcome back, everybody. Good to see you. Oh, you're doing good. Good to hear that. Hope everyone is doing well today, and I hope, you know, there's an exciting weekend ahead for all of you. Assuming your Saturday and Sunday are your weekends. I mean, they weren't always for me, but, you know. Alright, so we got Godzilla here, and he's basically swimming away, going underneath the waves. And what I kind of want to do here is just play around with my masking tool here, because I have a mask here that's going to go under to simulate that he's slowly going under. Maybe the best way to do that is by having him actually beginning to move down. There he goes under the water. Maybe right about here I could like maybe play around a little bit, have maybe kind of make the mask stay a little bit before he goes underneath the water, triggered by his movements, and then he's down. Nope, don't want to do that. It was a little off. Yeah, as I've stated in other streams, if I'm talking, being all big, massive chatterbox, but then I'm suddenly not talking anymore, it's because Well, for starters, I'm not really good at, like, multitasking. Usually all my energy, all my creative power is being directed towards what you see right up here. I'm pointing at it, I think. Yeah. Well, I'm not actually I'm pointing at my wall, but right above. I'm trying to be witty, and I don't think it's working. So I should probably just speak less here. But right now, I'm trying to get the big G, the G-man here, to start going underwater. Oh, good. Geigen Rex gets it. It's good to... I'm happy that at least some of what I said made sense. That's not working out. Sometimes I have to go back to the very beginning to get a better feel for all of this, because right now it's kind of like, okay, I see where I'm going with this, and by itself it looks decent, but there's just something off about the timing. I kind of don't like right about here. He just dips under. I want it to be more of a slower, gradual descent underwater. I just haven't quite gotten to that point yet. Okay, for some reason, when I said I haven't quite gotten to that place yet, I guess, Siri heard me and was all like, hey, here's your location. And it's like, it's a good thing that's being said right here in my ear. I don't really want my home address to be shared over live stream. Wow. I gotta tell you, technology is something. Like, there was a certain point where, it continues to amaze. Technology, is not something that I'm gonna just go, oh, it's nothing, it's really nothing noteworthy. On the contrary, it is. But colloquially, when we talk about technology, treating it like some next advancement, it's almost as if we kind of take it for granted when you talk about it. But now, like, whenever technology is talked about, it's kind of like with some disdain. Like, technology is supposed to be like the most advanced. You have the internet at your fingertip. You have all this incredible advancements, achievements, and yet at the same time, when it blunders, when it does something that it shouldn't do, it like the error becomes magnanimous. It becomes like it almost, at least for a moment, completely overshadows just how impressive the technology is. It must be impressive if, when it messes up, it's really one of those like, wow, that's a big deal kind of thing. I mean, I hope that all makes some sense, but anyway, I thought that's usually, I find that very interesting, worth talking about. Who's your favorite kaiju in the MonsterVerse or Toho besides Godzilla and King Kong? Oof. Okay, so in the MonsterVerse, you know, I don't know if this is just the honeymoon phase, you know, with the movie, you know, Godzilla Kong, The New Empire came out just a few months ago, on my birthday, no less. But as of right now, it's kind of like a toss-up between Scar King and King Ghidorah. I love me a good villain. They're always, generally speaking, more interesting than the heroes. But like Scar King to me was like, we've seen his ilk many times, and you know, across cinema, television, and stories. You know, you got your extremely like tyrannical, like psychotic sort of character who seems to just be only interested in one thing and one thing only, and it's power. However, you know, when it comes to kaiju, they're generally speaking very simplistic, right? They're not too complicated. They're not, I mean, I'm not taking away from their metaphors or anything of the like. They are, of course, some of my favorite characters, the favorite type of character, I should say. But Scar King, I really enjoyed his personality. I mean, I like just how freaking evil this guy is. Just the way he went about it. He has personality, and I guess that's really where I'm going with this. Kaiju do have personality, especially during the Showa era and Heisei era and onward. I mean, it's generally something that's even some fans typically either are unaware of, or, you know, this sort of thing, you know, goes over our heads easily enough because, you know, they're big monster. They're drawing a monster. You know, they're there to, you know, wreck stuff. But I do think the kaiju we know and love have personalities. They have unique character traits, and Scar King to me is one of those characters who I feel like, despite it's kind of like his biggest pro is also his biggest con. It's that he was taken from us way too soon. I would not have killed him. I think you have a great villain on your hands, and it's truly a shame that, you know, they didn't, you know, think about bringing him back sooner. Although it's also a shame that they didn't imagine, you know, they didn't think about him years back and plan accordingly. But, you know, that's the benefit of hindsight for you. But I also love King Ghidorah in the MonsterVerse. Ghidorah is, I love the design. It's about as close to just a perfect Ghidorah design in my book. And my book, it's a bestseller. Not really, but I also totally dig Rodan, of course, is also another great design, although I still wish they kept or just modified his classic roar. But Mothra in the MonsterVerse as well is just for this Mothra fan right here, it is, I mean, she is unique in the kaiju pantheon. She's one of those characters where she's not only she's more than just a kaiju, right? She's like a goddess. She's like a divine being, a divine beast that completely like challenges all sort of social commentary, sort of like social notions on just what is a monster. And I've been saying for years now that I feel like it's very easy to misunderstand monsters, because that is what they are. And tragically, that's what they are, right? They're monsters. That's what they're beings that will always be misunderstood. They will always be you know, feared, and because we fear them, we're never going to try and take a moment to empathize with them or understand them. And sometimes, to be fair, in fairness of humanity, when a giant city-wrecking creature like crashes into town, it's kind of hard to go, well, let's take a moment and understand, you know, how we got to this point. No, I mean, run for your lives, and it's like, it's all about survival at that point. But Mothra is so fascinating to me, and I love the MonsterVerse design. I love the I just love how they have faithfully executed her character. She's depicted like the loving, fierce goddess that she is. King Ghidorah would have won if the MonsterVerse wasn't always making the good guy or main character win. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like that's just how these sort of things work. I don't think King Ghidorah would have won. You know, it would have been more interesting if perhaps they did that. But, you know, there's also the business side of things, like what would happen. Like, okay, this isn't like Marvel where you can end on a Thanos wins cliffhanger and know that you're going to make $1 billion, and then your follow-up will have $1 billion as well. I mean, if Godzilla King of the Monsters ended with King Ghidorah winning, it kind of like, wait, why is the movie called Godzilla King of the Monsters? Or like, okay, so Godzilla versus Kong is going to be really quite interesting now. That would have made possibly for a better storyline right there if, you know, the plot to Godzilla versus Kong was like both Godzilla and Kong come together to take down Ghidorah. But honestly, I'm happy with how things turned out. So, Wizardzilla, hello, I love your video. Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. Okay, so I kind of I'm getting to the point where I do like what I'm seeing here. I do think as far as positioning goes, mask needs to start coming together a little bit sooner. Alright. I think we're good here. Godzilla looks fine. I like how this is turning out, but I'm gonna increase my video resolution so I can take a better look and make sure I can take out any unwanted green screen shenanigans, the spill over, and I can see some. And I do my best to try and take care of it, but you know, sometimes it's just hard to get rid of that spill, but there are tools, there are handy ways of taking care of it. Just a second. I see you, Gigan Rex. Thanks for coming in. Oh, wait. I say that right as you announce that you're back. Perfect. Might want the mask to already start. Okay, I like how this turned out, so let's save Gojira here. I'm going to pre-compose him, just call him Gojira for now. I want to add a reflection here. Now this might prove a little bit trickier because he's in motion, but you know, we might be able to make this work. Looks. it's cool you could make Godzilla so close and it still looks realistic. Wow, that's being very kind. Realistic? I appreciate that. Let's see. What I'm doing right here, how I did this all is just, I have a green screen studio. And what I do is, when I say studio, it's just a green screen with pretty fancy lighting, whatever. But I take my subject, in this case Godzilla, and I'm gonna take away his green screen here for a second. And this is literally all I'm doing. I just set up my camera. You can even see, if you look closely, right up here, you can see a little platform that I have him just chilling on. And I'm behind the camera. I'm just taking his tail and rotating the platform in sync back and forth, just having him sagging. It simulate like he's swimming. That's pretty much it. That's all I'm doing for this shot. It works. It gets the job done, but like just it really is just that straightforward. I know I do a lot of stop motion stuff, and this is not stop motion, and that's okay. It gets the job done. But there are ways you could have made this. You know, you could do the stop motion thing if you wanted to, but I don't think it's a. I think it looks great. I mean, if I had way more time, I would like there would have been a time where I would have like seriously like thought about, I'm just gonna like go in and try and like seal up all the areas where it looks like it's obviously a toy, like right here. I would want to seal that up. His joints right here around his upper chest, waist area, or his leg. You know, this is the sort of thing where, you know, for me, this would be the next level of trying to achieve that sort of like realism like state. But yeah, unfortunately we are not at that point. That is not going to happen. I say that now, but I'm going to go back into this subject and see if I can add a reflection here to make my job a little easier. I might not even have to do the reflection. I'm just kind of curious to see how this is gonna play out. But doing it here also makes it easier for me to figure out where the position is and such, so I can be better prepared. Bro is cooking. Oh, well, thank you very much. All right, let's see where my mask is at still. The reflection thing is right there. I'm just trying to make sure the movement, all of it, kind of aligns. Actually, it doesn't look half bad. Now, if I go in and I can increase the opacity, or not increase it, but lower it a bit, bring in some of the softness, and let's adjust that length a bit. Yeah, okay, so this is working out pretty good. What we're gonna do next is add some splashes. Maybe. Let me see what I want to do with this. Okay. Now the fun part. be our front splashes, so everything after this will have to be behind, and I'll have to work on that part. I'm going to be having water splashes both behind and in front of Godzilla. Jumbler guy, what's up? Welcome. I am using Adobe After Effects. What you see are some VFX assets. The water splashes are from Big Films. You could type in bigfilms.shop to see their cool stuff. They're pretty awesome. But I might be using different assets here in a second because I'm not quite satisfied. I like the first water splashes, but I might have to do something else. See what we can do. Bring these guys in. Well, now we're gonna have to stretch them out. Trying to find the right water splash. Ugh. Oh, my life is just so complicated. It's just so hard if you can't find the right water splash effect. You know? Life can be so hard sometimes. Okay, let's see. Alright, so the next thing I'm doing is, because I have all these water splashes going off in front of Godzilla, you know, in the background for us, I'm having the opacity be adjusted so eventually it simulates like he's actually swimming through it. This will make things easier for me in the future when I... See, I just lost my thought because, you know, multitasking, not my strong suit. Oh man. Let's see what else I can find. Let's take a look at this asset. Okay, let's take a moment and get ready to prepare this wake. I'm adding some water currents under Godzilla, and I have a unique way of doing this with these assets. I'm just going to remove the splash component, and when it later gets to the point where everything is settled, I'm gonna add this wake under Godzilla to show that there's more than just water splashes. So like right about here. I'll do that part. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Let's check and see if there's something else I can do here. Alright, folks, we're going to take a break from Godzilla and we're going to focus on some of the superheroes. I'll come back to this in due time, but I think we pretty much got what we need for Godzilla, but now it's time for superheroes. Okay, so we're on top of the submarine here, which is where largely this project takes place. And yeah, let's the important thing to do here is to make sure I have everyone where they need to be. I will likely not spend too much time on this one because, well, I'm gonna need a break here soon, of course. But here's the Full Metal Alchemist, Edward Elric. Let's take a peek at a couple things. Let's see what, if I'm getting the size just right here. Here's our heroes right here, assembled together. Lots of things happening, of course. About the size is just right there. Alright, just trying to get the stop motion for our Full Metal Alchemist going. It's not too complicated. The more complicated things might come into play when I digitally add the blade. He had transmuted a blade earlier, so I gotta add that in separately, because in this shot he's gonna also be de-transmuting. He's gonna, the blade's gonna pop back into his automail arm. if you are new to the channel and you want to know how I do all this, I'm just going to state that what I do normally is I take my subjects, in this case this Full Metal Alchemist action figure, and put it in front of my green screen. And I'm using my iPhone to record, and I just keep the recording and the camera going. It's all on video, and then as you can see, I'm just going through making these changes where frame by frame I'm just going in and and I just, you know, frame by frame just make the right cuts, and from there I have achieved motion. So for example, I'm gonna be masking out this part, so I'll be removing my fingers, and Al's the name of Ed's brother, who may or may not be showing up in this project. I have not decided yet, but yeah, he's I gotta say, Edward Elric here, really great guy, good person to work with, right? I mean, I like to joke sometimes that a lot of my, whoever I work with, like Godzilla, for example, he can have quite the attitude, you know, larger than life feel, but anyway, I like to sometimes joke that. Yeah, today I got to work with Ghidorah. What a great guy. I mean, seems to have multiple personality disorder, but, you know, pretty awesome guy, though. Such a professional. Let's see. Alright, so Ed seems to be more or less good to go. And then we're gonna cut around and get that going. Alright, let's start the masking process. We gotta bring everything up full though. Just went ahead so I can figure out a better way of just making sure I know I got my timing right. I'm just getting ready for the storm. You know, soon it's going to be a lot of masking, and it's going to be, ooh, time consuming. Keep thinking I should be taking a break soon, but because I don't want to be on here too long, because man, this is going to be a doozy. It looks great when it's over, you know, it's going to look hopefully fantastic. Any Full Metal Alchemist fans, anime fans, I hope I make you proud. Ed is definitely one of my favorite characters. I absolutely love Full Metal Alchemist. Both the 2003 anime and then the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood anime, and of course the manga. I love almost all things Full Metal. The Netflix live action movies, yeah, those were not that great. But, you know, they did have some good things about them. you know, while making this, I kind of wondered, could Ed transmute Godzilla if Godzilla just he held still, he promised, look, little Full Metal Alchemist, and of course Ed would be like, who you calling little, so small, you see underneath the magnifying glass. It might not sound if you're unfamiliar with Full Metal Alchemist, what I just did probably just made you raise your eyebrow. But anyway, so Ed's capable of transmutation. He can deconstruct, molecules, matter, and reshape it, in a really cool, spectacular way. So the question is, if Godzilla did hold still, could Ed do it? And ironically enough, the thing about alchemy, at least when it comes to Full Metal Alchemist, how it works is you gotta, like, in order to deconstruct something, you have to understand how it works. That's how the transmutation works. That's the whole story of Ed, how he committed this taboo by trying to use alchemy to bring back his mom. And this led to him basically achieving a great deal of knowledge. This knowledge allowed him to access the truth on how, the building blocks of matter. It's why he was able to use alchemy in ways that so many other alchemists, despite how long they've been doing this for, he was able to do things they couldn't do. But where am I going with this? Well, I think Godzilla might be a massive exception to this because, well, Full Metal Alchemist, in Full Metal Alchemist, alchemy is treated like a type of science. It's not like magic, even though it most certainly is a lot like magic. But there is a scientific component to it, as in you have to understand how something works in order to transmute. So, what's interesting here is Godzilla pretty much is not like anything Ed has ever tried to transmute. I don't think, in order to transmute Godzilla, Ed would have to understand how Godzilla works. How is it that something impossible like Godzilla could Ed actually pull a Mythbusters, or could he somehow be able to know how something like Godzilla is possible before he could transmute him? Fun little thought experiment. I don't think he would be able to, even if Godzilla just went, yeah, I'm curious myself, I don't know how I work, I defy comprehension. I mean, it's kind of like Cthulhu, my mere existence is more than just an enigma. It's more than that. It's kind of like I quite literally am impossible. It'd be cool if a future Godzilla film project explored, what the whole impossibility element of it all. It's kind of like what would happen if Godzilla meets Cthulhu meets Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem is based on this incredible book series where, discovering alien life may not be the best thing you could do. In fact, it's actually inviting a whole, cosmo full of hardships. But the cool thing is, in these books, and there's a Netflix show that really adapted them pretty well. It explores this sort of what happens if humanity not only made contact with alien life, but it turned out to be quite hostile. And by hostile, I mean these aliens are so advanced they're able to use quantum computer technologies to sabotage our sciences. So they made the people of Earth begin to believe that science is broken, science does not work. Which is interesting social commentary, considering, you know, there are bad faith actors in the world, people who are definitely trying to sabotage science, our scientific institutions, and not realizing that if this actually is the case, and as it pertains to Godzilla, if something like Godzilla did exist, you know, obviously we'd all have some serious questions. Like, we'd all be curious, okay, how can we rationalize this? How can we explain this? But if all signs, you know, if I would kind of be extremely concerned, because we know science works even if something like Godzilla exists. But if something impossible like Godzilla were to exist, is it compatible with our sciences? Is it compatible with physics? And many would likely think no, it wouldn't be. But here's the thing, it kind of like, it would be really fascinating to see the characters try to not only reconcile with that, but perhaps try and come up with a new science or a new model. Because I think it would be terrible to throw out all of our scientific achievements, knowledge, just because we can't account for a big old giant radioactive lizard. Also, like, what a minefield that would be, you know, to try and, like, hey, so Godzilla is impossible, and if there's something impossible, and no matter what we try to do, we try to go, you know, crunch the numbers, try and see if there's something else we haven't realized. Let's say it takes X amount of years, but ultimately, despite this being humanity's top priority, we still can't make sense of Godzilla. He's more than an anomaly. He single-handedly, like, just disrupts all that we know. And that would be really quite something. Now, it might end up being one of the most boring stories. I mean, I'm a big fan of, like, Godzilla Singular Point, but I could see why a lot of fans just were absolutely bored by this sort of thing. I find this whole thing fascinating. Hence why I'm, you know, talking about it. I'm just yapping about it. And I'm sure it'll, you know, if you're interested, cool. If you're still listening, awesome. Feel free to chime in if you have any ideas or anything you would like to add. Obviously, if this sort of talk isn't for you, then, you know, hey, sorry about that. But I like it because I kind of feel like I guess where I'm going with this is it's sort of like not just Godzilla meets Three Body Problem, right? But like it kind of becomes Godzilla meets Three Body Problem meets The Truman Show. Because the only rational explanation, I feel like, and assuming the characters are really, really smart, and they're written right, and it's as close to accurate as we can get to people being, you know, taking the information given to them in the story, and, you know, they, instead of watching movies where you're like, no, why would you do that? It's more like, wow, I'm just absolutely stunned that they came up with that idea. That's actually quite ingenious. Wow, I wish I thought of that. It's nice to have really smart characters, right? And in this case, I think the most logical conclusion you can make, and I kind of feel like this is one we too would make in real life if faced by this impossible entity that completely defies physics, would be we are fictional characters, or we exist in a simulation. And, you know, just like that, I came up with probably the most boring Godzilla story. You're welcome. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm gonna, like, call it here in just a second, because I'm beginning to ramble, and it's like, okay, or as some of my, you know, some subscribers in the past used to joke, it's called a tomologue. It's like a monologue, but only when Tom monologues. It's a tomologue. Oh man, I've been on way too long. This is what editing does to you. It turns you into a freak, like me. Okay, I'm gonna finish Ed here, masking all this out, and after I am finished, I'm gonna call it quits. As I'm doing this, as this stream is winding down, I'm gonna talk really briefly again about what this project is about. So in Godzilla King of the Monsters, one of the best moments, arguably one of the best scenes in the Monsterverse, and in, you know, one of my personal favorite Godzilla scenes of all time, is when Serizawa sacrifices himself to rejuvenate, almost resurrect his god, Godzilla. And Godzilla comes out of the water, and, you know, our main principal human cast, they're there on a submarine, they're there to greet him and such. And I just love this scene so much. I wanted to do a stop motion tribute, but here's the thing, not only do I not have, you know, the right action figures that could show these people or their likeness. I mean, it wouldn't have been that hard. Let's face it, I could have easily acquired something. And I don't think people would have been very particularly picky about, wow, that does not look like Coach Taylor, right? Coach Taylor is played by Kyle Chandler, who is in this movie. Human name escapes me, sorry. For the time being. Anyway, the point is, I thought, you know, I have plenty of other cool action figures. Let's use them. And I've been wanting to use my Full Metal Alchemist figure for some projects. I've been wanting to do Master Chief, who's from Halo, another great character. Batman, of course, I've been using frequently for my Godzilla Batman stop motion projects. But then there are others too. Cyclops from the X-Men, the best X-Men. I will fight you on this. And then, you know, you got like Charizard from Pokemon. Yeah, you know, I just thought it'd be great to just be a little creative, have a little fun with this scene. So this is all coming ahead pretty well. All right. Whew. Getting to the end here. But yeah, in this project, Godzilla comes across this like group of, I guess you can call them like multiverse Avengers, if anything, because you know all these characters are superhuman. They all have particularly awesome powers, and they are and it's an ensemble, right? I don't really explain like how we got to this point. Like, not once in this upcoming project am I gonna have a character like break the fourth wall or monologue about how they were transported here all of a sudden. If you really think about it too much, it's just not gonna make any sense. So, you know, I don't say this often, but I will say it now. Try not to think about it too much, right? It's just me having fun. That's really it. That's the reason. In fact, that's the reason Batman would give. If everyone turned to Batman right now and they're like, "Hey, you're like the world's greatest detective. Can you explain like how we got to this point?" Batman would be like, "Yeah, I mean, we're here because Tom thinks it's fun." Makes sense. Good news about Ed here is, oh man, he's like the only character I'm gonna really have to go and mask out a lot of things that I don't really like all that much here. So you know, the hard part is nearly over, which is such a relief. And then after this is concluded, it'll be time to start work on Godzilla Monster Island Rumble. That's going to be so much fun, where we get to see Baragon and Gearus, Godzilla, of course, mainly Showa era Godzilla kaiju, but the difference is they're going to be squaring off against Godzilla, who is an Ultraman kaiju. First appeared in Ultraman Tiga, one of my favorite Ultraman shows. Not sure if it's my favorite right now. It used to be, but I'm a big fan of Ultraman Nexus. I love me Ultraman X. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure just yet what I would consider crown my favorite Ultraman story, but Ultraman Tiga is quite up there, and Godzilla is just an awesome kaiju. Love the design. Alright, Ed turned out pretty good. We're gonna now remove the green screen, and then we'll call it good. Knowing me, I'll be back later today or something and work more on this if I choose, but yeah, man, I mean, quite relieved that this part is almost done, because man, it takes a lot. Masking, I mean, again, there's rotoscoping. There are other ways I could have done this, but I'm more familiar and feel more comfortable masking things out but by hand, because it just, to me, is I personally think it's the most effective way to do this. It just looks better, and I don't mind doing things frame by frame. I'm used to it, for starters. It also kind of has the added benefit of helping me become, be more patient. The next hard part will be adding the blade in separately. The only other thing I think I'll do here is just to try and make sure maybe I can find brighter. Alright. Okay, everyone. It's been good. I think we are good. And yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll see you all